All right, so I'd like to welcome you all to Green Energy Business Solutions, acronym GEBS. We are a master distributor of green energy products throughout the United States. We currently focus on air conditioning, lighting, and refrigeration as our three core products. And the training that you're going to be going through today is very specifically to our air conditioning flagship product, which is called the Airco Saver. So the Airco Saver is a air conditioning retrofit device, which means that we are not physically going on top of the roof and replacing an air conditioning unit. What it does is allows us to go to a pre-existing air conditioning unit, install the device, and provide a substantial savings to the end user based on the application of installing our unit. So things that we've done over the last several months to bring this product to market is we went to the energy companies, and across the United States we have several companies that are currently in testing. At this point we have several that have already approved. So ones that have been approved on our energy rebates are SC Edison, PG&E, San Diego Power and Electric, Xcel Energy, Alliant, which is Alliant Energy, and those are the 5 that are currently already approved. We're working with Duke Electric, El Paso Power and Electric, and a handful of others on providing energy rebates to their customers. So starting with the Airco Saver, we average between 17.5 and 22.5 energy savings per customer. So the things that take into consideration the level of savings, there's a lot of different factors. Things that we build into our return on investment model is how many hours of operation, what their actual cost for energy is through the energy company, and overall what the size of the unit is that's going to be producing cool energy. So the larger the size of the unit, the better energy savings that we're able to provide. On average, 17.5 to 22.5% is going to represent somewhere around 85 to 95% of our customer base, and we have seen upwards in the 32 to 36% in certain scenarios. Packages or air conditioning units that we do support is we support packaged units, which is RTUs, split systems, PTAC, window units, and wall units. Some of the things to take into consideration in regards to what's going to function best with our solution is we basically fit and work on any air conditioning unit. But part of the thing that you have to take into consideration is what's the actual energy that this unit's going to go ahead and use through the period of a season. So as you get into a smaller air conditioning unit and more efficient air conditioning units, it's very possible that you could get into a situation where it's only going to save you, or the operating of the device is only going to be a couple $100s for an entire season. So even if we're saving 20% at $200, that's only going to be $40 a year. So in certain scenarios, it's just not going to work. It's too small, it's too efficient, so our situation is working for less efficient, larger units. And really our sweet spot starts at 4 tons and goes up. And at the high end, you're going to find that we're typically around the 25 to 30 ton range is where we're going to stop. Systems that we don't install chillers, we don't install swamp coolers. So as you get into larger environments like hospitals that are running big chiller systems that put out tons of air conditioning, our system is not going to work for that. The Airco Saver is currently manufactured in Germany. It's been so since early 2000, so it's been out in the marketplace for over 11 years. It's been in the United States for 5 years. The reason why it's starting to come to market now is that there was a distributor importer of the product that ultimately was trying to work from their existing relationships, and we're growing out the distribution very slowly. That brought up opportunities for companies like GEBS to come into the equation, show them how we can set up better distribution and better support mechanisms, and that's how we move forward into today. All right, so what is an Airco Saver? Airco Saver is a sensor device that utilizes sophisticated algorithms to monitor the operating of an air conditioning unit. The way that that works is it utilizes a temperature probe, and the temperature probe is placed on the coldest part of the evaporator coil. So basically what's going to happen is it's going to monitor at that point in time at what point energy has reached its maximum capacity to be created by a compressor. It says, I'm going as far and as fast as I can, and I can't create any more energy. At that point in time, the Airco saver senses that and says, okay, can't create any more energy, we're going to go ahead and turn it off. When we turn it off, we basically run it through a cycle, and the cycle is different stages on the Airco saver that basically says if the cold air temperature that we're currently still dissipating, because we're leaving on the condensing fan to continue to blow cold air over those coils to push it into the environment, it's going to say at what point in time are we potentially going to affect the overall temperature and comfortability within that environment. As soon as it's determined that that point has been hit, it turns back on the compressor and it goes back through the cycle again. I have a great analogy that we're going to show you here in a couple minutes that really represents that. A couple other benefits of the Airco saver is that when you get into certain environments where the air conditioning is running full speed, you can run into a situation where it freezes over the air conditioning unit. So the Airco saver, because of its cycling, will actually eliminate any air conditioning freeze-overs, which will ultimately provide better performance on the air conditioning unit. Last big piece of this is that because of the algorithms that are built into the device and the sensors, it's looking at so many different parameters at once that's constantly adapting. And so when you take into consideration the things that are going to provide a comfortable environment within an air-conditioned facility, first one's going to be temperature. Okay, that one's easy. Second one's going to be humidity. How much humidity is in the air and how much additional air conditioning do we need to provide to make sure that it's a comfortable environment? So it is always adapting to every situation to make sure that our variance in regards to temperature and humidity is off by a very small percentage, and typically it's less than a full degree. Typically it's a half degree in regards to the difference in temperature, either plus or minus. So nothing that's going to be noticeable to the human eye or to your person. This goes into a couple additional steps. When overcapacity, which is thermal saturation, occurs, the Airco saver switches off and avoids inefficient cooling. So the bulk of the Airco saver in general, as you take a look at how it's saving, is it has to turn off the compressor. We effectively end up cycling the compressor more than what we would normally do through a standard operating cycle. And when we go into a standard room environment, when the air conditioning system turns on, it basically says, okay, we're at this temperature and we're trying to cool down to here. So when we turn on, we're going to go ahead and start running, and previous to the installation of an Airco saver, it's just going to continue running the whole entire time while it's trying to get to set point, which is the temperature that you're trying to maintain in that environment. So this whole duration that you're going to see here, what happens is that it runs for a longer period of time, and because it runs for a longer period of time, the overall temperature of the actual compressor increases, and it increases by about 15 degrees. So one of the big questions that we get asked all the time is, since we're cycling the air conditioning unit more, what happens in the life? Well, the end result from our engineers is that it's a toss-up. Either hand works at exactly the same rate. If we cycle the compressor more, we're cooling down the temperature of the compressor. So the breakdown and the overall performance of the compressor is better. But if we run it longer and we increase the temperature at that point in time, then we're going to increase it 15 degrees, so the overall working of the compressor is more. It requires more energy, and it's going to wear down the compressor more. So cycling more, starting it up and turning it off is going to use up more of its life. Having it run for longer duration is going to use up more life, so it's basically a toss-up.